Hello, the purpose of this video is to introduce you to the research process. This is a very brief introduction, and by itself it will not necessarily prepare you to do research in the Kent Library or in another library, but hopefully this will help you establish an understanding of the basic concepts of what it means to be a researcher and to conduct a research process. Research is a recursive process. You start generally with a topic, but from that you derive a research question. And then you search for answers to that research question, which often just leads to finding more questions. And so then you research for more answers, and you find more questions and more answers. And as you go through this recursive or circular process, you hopefully will develop a certain amount of expertise on the original topic that you started researching. You may find that you end up researching a different topic or a related topic that you find more interesting. That's fine. That's part of the process of becoming an expert on that topic and learning about the topic that you chose to research. Research requires critical thinking and reading. So you find some sources, but then you have to evaluate their credibility. Now, if you do your research in a library database, like Academic Search Complete or ProQuest, for example, a lot of the work of evaluating the credibility has already been done for you because the information in those databases has been evaluated by librarians, by experts on the topics or in the field, and therefore you can rest assured that most of that information is going to be pretty credible, pretty trustworthy, and believable. That doesn't mean that there may not be some disagreements between different experts on that topic, but you can trust that the people writing about that topic are informed and their goal is to inform you, not to spread propaganda or falsehoods. Now, when you are evaluating the credibility of a source, whether it's a website or something in a scholarly database, like a library database, you do need to take into consideration the credentials of the author, the audience the author is writing to, whether this article the author wrote is published in a scholarly, peer-reviewed journal, or if it's published in a popular magazine or newspaper. You also need to then evaluate the relevance of the sources. So maybe all of the sources you find are credible and trustworthy, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're relevant to your topic or your research question. And some may be more relevant than others. You may find yourself referring to a source a lot, and maybe a different source you only use a quote or two from it. You then brainstorm the relevance or usefulness of those relevant sources. So again, maybe one source you're using a lot because it fits your topic perfectly. Maybe you don't find any sources that fit your topic perfectly, but you find a few different sources that touch on different parts of your topic or your research question, and you're able to kind of combine those different ideas in order to write your paper. And that gets at this next point, finding more sources to fill your gaps. So when you determine that certain sources are more useful than others, that you're going to get a lot of mileage out of this source but not necessarily these other sources, then that leaves you with gaps to fill sometimes. And so you then have to go back and do more searching, more research to fill those gaps in the information that you need to present to your reader in order to thoroughly cover the topic that you're researching and writing about. And all of this requires organization. So when you process sources, meaning when you go through them and really try to thoroughly understand them and organize them so that you can use them effectively, I think it's helpful to first take lots of notes about the sources. What are these sources saying? What are their ideas? What are their main points? Then, once you have a better understanding, a grasp of those sources and their credibility and relevance and usefulness, you can begin to identify specific quotes or specific passages that you know you're going to want to use in your paper. And then at some point you need to identify the citation information so that you can cite those sources in your paper. And of course you need to be able to keep track of all of this information. So you need some kind of developed note-taking system. There are some special software programs that can help with this, but I generally just use Microsoft Word to type up notes. I even will copy and paste quotes or passages into that Word document, or I'll retype them into that Word document. And I also keep the citation information in that Word document. So in that one place I have all of my information about that source, and that I can refer to over and over again as I need to. You could do something similar with a notebook. You could do something similar with maybe a software program. But whatever method you choose, you need to have an organized way of keeping track of all this information you're finding. So to sum up, research is a recursive process. You research, you search again. Research requires critical thinking and reading. You can't just accept the information that you see as credible. You can't just accept it as relevant. You have to really think critically about what you're finding in your research. And you have to organize the research and the information that you're finding in order for it to really be usable to you as a writer. And finally, research is about learning. Research is about becoming an expert on the topic or the question which you are trying to find answers to. And it takes time and effort to learn about a topic in that kind of depth. So don't shortchange yourself. Spend the time and effort necessary to really learn about your topic so that in your writing you can share what you learned. Thank you.